All right, folks, here we go. Hey guys, I'm Doctor McFarland, and tonight we're going to be building some rigs specifically for I can't even talk, for the Telecaster community. So, wow, that's not a good start. But anyway, we're going to roll with it. So what I have in my hands is a Reverend Pete Anderson Telecaster, and this is his signature model from Reverend Guitars. You can see the classic Reverend headstock right here, and this very, very smooth and soft yellow finish on the body here. And you take a look at this neck. Very nice roasted maple neck, which is great. And I'm making some noise. I'm using the tone knob here to roll the tone knob down. So you got the Greg Koch model, which I have right over here. So I'll probably be grabbing that one just to compare. But if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell. I do all things Headrush here on the channel, as well as pretty much anything that has to do with recording, getting great tones for the studio or the stage. And a lot of maulers, a lot of amps, a lot of pedals, guitars. Oh, I see. You swapped out the pickups. That's cool. So is it the Greg Koch Fishman pickups, or is it just another Fishman model or set? Let me know. So a guy here on the chat said, hey, I got the same guitar, but I put Fishman's in it. So I was assuming he was talking about the Greg Koch version of the Telecaster, which is not. He has the Pete Anderson, but with Fishman's in it. So I like the Fishman's in the Greg Koch model. The only thing I don't like, and this is just a mental block on my part, is having to charge the guitar, which the charge lasts about 300-ish hours, which is really a long time if you think about it. I mean, you could have your guitar plugged in like every day, all day for, 40 hours in a week. I mean, 3 months or so, and it still lasts a long time. But just the fact that you have to charge it is just weird. But I do like the tone. So I'm testing out the tuner here on the pedal board. And let me know if the volume of everything is okay. So what's really cool about specifically dialing in tones for a certain guitar is it may not work for all guitars. Les Pauls or humbucker style guitars are known for being a little throatier, a little darker, and having more mid-range punch. I want to make sure I'm not popping into the microphone here, but any kind of Fenderish, T-style, S-style guitar is going to have less mid-range, so it's naturally going to be a brighter tone, and that's going to guide you in a certain way on actually what dial in on your amp, on your overdrive settings, all that kind of stuff. So everything I'm going to do tonight is going to be based on what I'm hearing while I play this guitar. If you have a 7-string Meshuggah style, Fishman Fluence pickup, like really heavy sounding guitar, and you play through these rigs, it may not translate all that well, but just keep that as a warning. So I am building these rigs based on what I hear right now in the moment, and it may not work for everybody, but we're just going to roll with it. And if you happen to have a Telecaster, no matter if it's a Squire Affinity Series all the way up to American Standard Telecaster, or a similar one like mine, like a Pete Anderson Reverend. Any kind of Tele that you have that has a this style pickup on the neck. I can't remember, lipstick, whatever it's called. No, lipstick is more like a Dan Electro kind of thing. This is something different. And then a traditional Tele style bridge. Then you are going to get some nice spanky, twangy, what all the other, adjectives are. So, I feel like I'm in tune now, so that's good. This is the clean tone going into absolutely nothing in the rig. All 11 blocks are totally blank. So, one disclaimer to get out of the way. This is sponsored by the HTS rigs on my website. So what HTS rigs is a Headrush tone sculpting course that basically just provides all the rigs I make in these live streams available for a one-time purchase on the website of $20. And I will go ahead and throw that out there. The price is never going to change. Think of it like a Patreon where you don't have to pay monthly. You just basically pay a one-time fee and you access all the rigs I make in the past, in the present, and in the future. I could be making rigs for like 10 years. I mean, who knows? And all you have to pay is $20. So if you want to donate to the channel, help support what I do here on YouTube and also on my website, if I can talk. Please feel free to check that out on my website, HTS Rigs. And if you want to get the full-on bundle of Headrush, if you want to dive really, really deep into the Headrush, I have a Headrush tone sculpting course, which is why it's not called HTS Rigs. And that is a full-on course where I go through every single amp, cab, microphone, effect, give you the ins and outs and explain what the settings and parameters are and how to build certain rigs. And then if you want to get the bundle, which is including the first two and also a very special third product coming up very soon, which I have everything set up here tonight to start filming that this week. So that is going to be called the tonal analysis. And that is me taking a band, a song, full album, whatever you want. You can make suggestions as well to help guide me of what content I make for this course. I'm basically listening to the songs and trying to recreate those tones on the Headrush straight from the album. So we will go into the psychology of how we hear things on the album versus how we hear things live. And, with an album, you have a lot more liberty to use EQ and compression and really dial in the sound to get the final mix. And a lot of times, the Headrush is, or really any digital modeler, is essentially giving you the amp with a microphone in front of it. And that's what you're hearing back through your studio monitors, FR speaker, headphones, whatever that is. You essentially are getting a recorded album ready sound. So that is that's really the gist of what the tonal analysis course is going to be. And the first band up is AC/DC. So if you're very interested in checking that out, I will have the tonal analysis sections available for separate purchase if you want to do that. But really, the bundle is the best way to get the most savings for the most amount of time. Because each one I add, you just don't have to pay anymore. You just get that. You just get everything for that one price. So check out the Headrush bundle on the website, drmcfarlandstudios.com. And let's go ahead and let's create some tones here. So let's check the comments real fast. Charging at the problem, unplugging is the key. Yeah, that's true. Leo says, hey now. So just without anything in the rig, this is what the bridge pickup sounds like with the tone and the volume all the way up. Okay, not too bad. This is the middle position. And this is the neck. Hey, so I have a new Telecaster book from Daniel Donato here in Nashville. Check out this sweet lick. This is kind of cool. See, how did I do it? I can do this, folks. Something like that. Or we got a little yeah, I'm learning some cool country stuff right now. Hence the Telecaster. So we're gonna go ahead and go to our, here's my finger. Hello. We're gonna go to the second row, because I already know I want some effects before the amp and some effects after the amp. And let's think of some really classic Telecaster setups. And first thing I can think of is a Fender Twin. So that is going to be, what is that going to be? That's going to be the Black Duo. So this is a black face Fender Twin. And at least I think. There we go. That looks like a black face right there. Now, this is going to give you the exact knobs per function on the actual amp. So we have volume, we have bright, vibrato, treble, mid, bass. We have vibrato speed, and we can do either syncopated, which means you have, not syncopated, but like sync, as in chord notes, eighth notes, dotted eighth, half note, whatever else. You can see if I turn that on, let me do this. I'm used to using the gig board here. So if I turn that on, you can see I have different subdivisions, but if I turn it off, then you can see I can change the actual speed based on the hertz there. Okay, we have intensity for the vibrato. So this is what it sounds like with really just me touching the vibrato and not touching the cab at all. So here we go. Ooh, that sounds nice. Well, that's all, folks. That's a great tone. I'm going to end it here. And good night. I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't have any special sauce when I build rigs. I just use my ear and be like, if it's too much bass, let's go turn down the bass knob on the amp. If it's too bright, too trebly, or not enough treble, maybe, adjust the treble knob on the amp, stuff like that. I do think like a producer though, and I know that where I position the microphone or what type of microphone I use can also on another level change the sound. So right now it's on a Dyne 7, which is exactly the mic I'm talking into right now. This is a SM7B. So this is a Dyne 7 microphone. So let's go to a 57 now. And that's like an SM57. Try it again. Yeah, I sound like country music now. Okay, we can also put this on axis so it's more bright. It's actually, the mic is pointing at the center of the cone versus off, like, off axis, like 45 degrees off axis. So that's gonna be a little bit brighter for you. Okay. I'm fine with that, but let's go ahead and just keep it off axis. Already that sounds a lot smoother to my ear. And when you show up to a gig, more than likely, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, the the front of house guy is going to put a SM57 on your cab, and that's the sound you're going to get. So all right, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the tremolo. And what do I have to do for that? Vibrato on, so now it's off. Here we go. All right, so also with this amp, with the Fender Twin, is you can get it up pretty loud before it really breaks up. So that's why you see I'm on 50% right now, and I have a nice full sound. If I brought the volume down, let's say to like 20 or so-ish. Okay, it still sounds good. And from that point, I can turn up the rig volume. Okay. Something about the low end is not as beefy though, because we're not pushing the power tubes as much. You know, virtual power tubes. So I'm going to go ahead and crank it back up to 50. Now let's listen. That's probably a little closer than I think. But if we start getting into the 70 to 80 range, maybe turn down the rig volume so I'm not blowing out your ears. And I'm going to go up here and turn down this fader just a tad. Because I see on my Streamlabs OBS, I'm getting into the red just a little bit. So not too much, but I want my voice and the guitar to be roughly the same. So, and I do try to get my rig output around 3 bars below 0. Okay, that sounds good to me. So, all right. So far we have an amp, head, and we have a cab. So now we have to imagine, okay, do we want a traditional spring reverb type sound that the amp would originally have, or do we want a sound of us like playing in a room, maybe a garage or a bedroom or a dining room, large club, anything like that? So let's go ahead and go to the end here, and under reverb, let's go to let's make it real easy at first. Let's go to air verb, and I like air verb because it doesn't really have tons of options. We have, you know, ambient, chamber, church, dense, hall, room, and studio, and nonlinear. So let's just choose room. And this is the sound of a pretty small room, especially if we keep the size nice and low, but maybe the mix is up a little bit. And I always have tails on, so that way when you bypass the effect, you know, that you get the spillover from the reverb and delay tails. So okay, that's a really small room. And it's really the sound of like some pre-delay going on. Very, very short amounts of reverb. So if we could make that a little bit longer. Change the size. Okay, so size all the way up, and we can bring the time down. And then now that we kind of hear the overall sound that we want, we can just bring the mix down. Bring it down pretty low. Okay, that was the neck pickup. Here's the bridge. So that's just an area of experimentation on your part. Of how long of a reverb that you want, and just dial it in. All right, so now that I'm on the bridge pickup, this is sounding pretty bright. And there's a few things that we can do. We can actually take the tone knob and just roll it down. This is with it all the way down. So it's pretty woolly. And bring it up a little bit. Sounds a little bit better. So this is all the way up. And this is a little darker. But if I don't want to do that on the actual tone knob itself, I can just maybe, first of all, maybe turn the bright off. That sounds pretty good. We can go to the treble and turn that down. But then when we go to the neck pickup, we want to make sure that it's still so that's definitely a jazzy type sound. And maybe if I'm playing for a certain mix, like if I'm recording and I want to hear a certain mix, then I might want to keep it nice and bright, but just kind of depends. Definitely we're going to keep the bright knob off. Okay, let's go with that. All right, so we have amp, reverb. Now, any kind of Telecaster sound, I'm going to want like a good slap back. So let's go with the tape echo. And let's go with the basic. Keep the feedback low. Obviously, the mix is a little too high, so we'll turn that down. Cool. So with any kind of slap back, you just want to make sure it slaps back at least once, if not twice. And that's really all you need. So I'm going to wear that lick out tonight. And also I'm learning to play with my pick, but also my claw fingers here. So all right. I like that. Keeps it really, really simple. Some players like to have a compressor, and we'll put it on the dot comp. So I have the threshold all the way down, attack at 10, gain at 2, just a little makeup gain, ratio, release. I can maybe turn the release up a little bit. Great. All right, that's really cool. Now with the threshold setting all the way down, to get the amount of compression I want, I'm basically adjusting the ratio time. All right, I like that. That works for me. I'm actually going to save. I'm going to save this as doc comp 2. And that's going to allow me to have a few variations on what I usually have anyway. All right, so I want to hear from you guys. Let me know where you're from, what your name is, and if you have a Telecaster. And maybe tell me your favorite Telecaster player. Mine would probably have to be Brad Paisley. I mean, he's really good. He's a good player. Now, even though I have the Pete Anderson model, I've listened to a little bit of the Dwight Yoakam enough to know what Pete sounds like, and he's a great player by all means. On all accounts, he's just a great player. And if you've ever watched his rig rundowns, he's actually playing through a Line 6 pod, through like some power cabs, or through a power amp and then regular cabs on stage. And hey, if he's using modeling and it sounds good to him, then you really can't, you can't argue with that. So, I mean, I guess you could, but I wouldn't want to. So this is going to be Doc Tele Classic. Okay. All right, so we have one rig so far. So I'm going to click on my on my 3 lines there. Hit new for new set list. And I'm going to search for just what I've just made here. So Doc what did I just say? There he is. Doc Tele Classic. So we're going to save that. And we're going to call this Tele Rigs. I want a space in between there. I did it again. Tele spacebar Rigs spacebar HTS. Okay, that'll work. So now if we go back, we can find our Tele Rigs set list. And there we are. We can see we got one so far. If I pull my finger down, you can see the Tele Rigs. And it's good enough for me. All right, so we're actually going to use this as a template by hitting save, save new rig, doc, Tele MS30. I'm going to use an MS30 amp now. Change the preset. Actually, I'm going to change the model. It doesn't really matter. MS30 is down here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the volume down because I heard it was pretty loud. Yeah, I'll do a Stratocaster probably in the next live stream. Okay, I'm just going to concentrate on Telecasters tonight. All right, so this amp has a volume, but it also has a master volume. And what is going to happen both on the real amp and also in the digital form is the louder you have your master volume, the more you're going to cook your power amp tubes. And that's going to give you a certain sound. So we can choose to have a very, very low preamp, but then crank our master. Okay. And you can see we have a cut just like a Vox AC30. So the higher the cut percentage, the less treble you're going to have. Okay. We can also adjust the bass, and that's pretty much it. So we got treble, cut, bass, master volume, and volume. So really, really easy knobs on this one. If you know anything about a mashless amplifier. Okay, in this case, we're not getting very beefy here. All right, so I would say the master volume output is not doing a whole lot for us right now because the preamp section is not boosting the signal enough. So I'm going to go ahead and boost the volume here, maybe to 40. Let's go to our master. Okay, not too bad. Turn on the compressor. All right, at this point, we are on a 2x12 silver cone, and we can change up the speaker a little bit. Let's go to a B30. So it's like a vintage 30. And let's go ahead and change the microphone to a Royer 121. All right, so I'm still going to keep it off axis to help alleviate some of the extra treble sound. Let's turn the master volume down, and we can stand to bring up the preamp gain. Let's get the sound of our amp without the compression first. Bring up this cut knob. Hear how dark that gets when you bring it all the way up. So let's bring it down to 70. Because this does allow you to bring up the treble knob a little bit more, but then roll it off with the cut knob. And once again, I'm primarily listening to just how this would sound in a mix or in a live band. Because anything in isolation can sound halfway decent, and most of the time, if you're just building rigs at home, but then you get to the studio or the stage and you feel like you're not cutting through the mix very well. it's very, very possible that you just have too much bass response in your rig, either from the amp or the microphone selection or global settings or whatever it is. So you always, not always, but like you can get away with a lot less bass than you think. And more times than not, you don't need as much gain as you think you do as well, especially for like really high gain amps, which we'll select one of those here in a second. Just to show you what a Telecaster can do through maybe a dual rec, Mesa Boogie dual rec or a Bogner or any kind of high gain kind of situation. Because the single coil pickups does react to a high gain amp a lot differently than a humbucker amp would, stuff like that. So, okay, that sounds good. Sounds good to me. It's not too doesn't bite your head off with the treble. Now that's a little too woolly right there on the neck pickup. So. Okay, but just keep in mind a Telecaster is bright and it's just meant to be bright. So don't dial out the character of your guitar because you're used to playing humbuckers or something. If it's bright, just let it ride, man. Just let it be bright and not hinder the horse, if you will. That doesn't make sense. Hinder the horse. Whatever. Okay. Now with our compressor back in. So far we've only made 2 rigs, and I've really only changed the amp and cab, kept everything else the same. That's cool. So this amp has just a slight different character than your Fender Twin would, or like a Fender Deluxe, stuff like that. Which that's a good one to go into. So we're gonna save this first, and then hit save again, save new rig, dock. You can change these names to whatever you want, but this is just a shorthand. So I know what to select when I drag all these rigs onto the website. So Dock Tele Deluxe. And now we're going to change this amp to, let's go up here to, so the Black Lux Vibe or the Black Lux Norm. So you can't be a Tweed Deluxe because that's like the small Tweed amps. We want the vibrato one because why not? And get the bass and treble about the same. Here's the vibrato. Now, what's cool about this amp, and the main difference between a deluxe and a twin, is really the headroom of the amp. So I can crank a deluxe and just really dime it. So pretty loud. May not need to be that loud. That sounds nice. Let's check the output. And just notice I'm not really getting anywhere near the amount of volume on my output. I could probably stand and bring down my headphones a little bit because it is pretty loud in my headphones. But the level of the live stream is looking pretty good as well, so I'm not too worried about it. Christian says, "Can you do a Stratocaster rigs?" And so I'm going to do that in the next one. Pedro says hi from Cuba, Brazil. I don't know. I don't know the looks of flags. I'll get used to it though. I'll get the learning with it. Okay, so let's add in a tube screamer. That's the green JRC. So a JRC is the actual one of the parts of a tube screamer that makes it what it is, essentially. I don't know if it's a diode or a transistor or whatever it is, but let's just make it warm. But we'll make the drive 0, keep the tone in the middle, and the level all the way up. And to change the color, you just double tap on the block, and you got all these different colors down here. So I actually want it to be more of like a lime green. So we'll save that. So this is what the sound of this is. Bam. So what's cool about the tube screamer is this. It's really meant to push the front end of your amp. It's also meant to roll off the low end of your amp and a little bit of the high end as well. And that allows it to have this nice mid-range push that is great with Fender style, I just say S style or T style, Stratocaster or Telecaster style guitars, because those pickups naturally just don't have a lot of mid-range anyway. So when you add in the tube screamer, it fills that gap of frequencies in the middle. And it just sounds really good. Most people just dime, i.e. crank it to 10. They dime the level, turn the drive all the way down, because you're getting the compression of the amp from the extra volume you're sending from the pedal. So all right, another thing we can do, we can definitely bring up the drive. Maybe bring down the level a little bit. I'm going to turn off the tremolo here. You can always add this to a switch if you prefer to do that. And sometimes I do. I mean, really, with any of these rigs, you're ready for the honky tonk. Ready for that honky tonk, man. Because I'm a honky tonk man. Scooby-Doo. Speaking of Dwight Yoakam. To the bridge pickup. And you can make the slap back a little more drastic. So maybe put it up to in the 200s range. I just changed keys. Very spunky. All right, that's cool. So that's 3 traditional, i.e. traditional rigs I would make. Let's go ahead and let's just start from scratch here. So we're going to go ... And what's cool about making your first rig and then creating a set list and then staying in that set list is all new rigs you make automatically go into that set list. So that's just like a good shortcut for you to, not have to go back and make a bunch of rigs and then find them later and have to put them into a set list that you want. You just go ahead and make the set list, and then all new rigs you make automatically show up in that set list. So we're going to go to new rig here. And we got all kinds of fun stuff we can do. Let's go something really non-traditional. Let's go with the J45, which I would say, I think Jimmy Page played a Telecaster either through a Supro or like an Orange or maybe an early Marshall amp. So you can definitely let's go to the bridge pickup. Let's not have a 2x12 silver cone. That makes no sense. We're going to go all the way down to a classic 30 because rock. Because we like to rock. Condenser A7's cool. Too bright on axis, so we'll keep it off axis. Alright. I'm fairly okay with that. One thing we got to watch out for is our volume. And instead of high volume, we're going to crank up the normal volume here. I'm still going to keep studying, folks, on my country licks. So I know what you're thinking. This guy just keeps playing the same licks over and over and over. Well, I'll work on that, okay? I will work on it. We can count out the presents. Now, we're getting a little flubby in the low end here. A little flubby. So let's turn down the bass, if not all the way down. And that is perfectly fine. If you don't do things based on the numbers, just use your ear and be like, still a little too much, so we can just bring it down. And you know what? In a mix, 0 bass with a little bit of treble and all the mid-range you can get. That's perfectly fine. Let's go with a delay. I like a pitch delay because it's fun. But I always go in and I put it to 0 semitones because I don't want to actually change the pitch. But I do like how this colors the sound. We can detune it just a little bit. Mess with the high cut. I ate some no-bake cookies tonight, so that's why I'm a little belchy. Sorry. See what this sounds like here. One, two, three, four. Okay, maybe it's a little too weird. And if you want a real classic rock sound, you can put the delay before the amp. And we can always bring down the mix. And that is something, let me save this real fast. But that is something to keep in mind about treating the digital realm just like you would the actual physical realm, or like on a real amp. A twin is not going to have an effects loop, so therefore you can't put effects after the amp. Now in the digital realm, you can do whatever you want, but if you want to treat it just like the real thing, then you might want to consider keeping all your effects before the amplifier, even delay. Well, reverb, not so much, because the reverb is kind of after. It's kind of just built in, but like definitely delay and, any kind of overdrive, all that kind of stuff. Let's do J45. Something like that. All right, we're going to go back real fast. We're going to put our tape echo before the amp on this one, just to hear what that sounds like. So, and I'm going to put a spring. Where's my spring reverb? There it is. I knew it was somewhere. Let's do mono. Sounds good. Let's just bring down the mix. All right, so now what we have going on here is spring reverb going into the front of the amp, but we have an air verb, which is kind of replicating a room sound. And we can bring that down a little bit, so we get something like this. We can turn off the spring just to compare. Then spring back on. All right, I like that. Let's go to the next one, and let's make sure we put our tape echo before. That's interesting how the mid-range tonality changed just by changing those two amps. All right, now this deluxe doesn't need to be that hot. Let's turn it down to 50 or so. Put the tape echo before there. Let's go to our output. All right, so another key thing that you want to keep in mind, and this goes with any modeler, any of them, it doesn't matter. You want to try to find the tone you like first, and then you can adjust the overall volume of the rig, i.e. with Headrush, with Fractal or Line 6, they call them presets. So you can find the tone first and then dial in the overall level of the rig in the output section, and that's a really good thing to consider. Turn this down, turn that back up. What did I just do? I messed it up. Sorry. 50. I thought I was adjusting the tube screamer. Whoops. There we go. Tube screamer. Cool. It also makes the delay kind of blend in, just kind of get mushy with the amp. All right. So we got that figured out. J45, which I don't think has an effects loop. But the more distorted the amp is, the more mushy and distorted the delay is going to get, because that delay is going to the front end of the amp, and that's getting amplified and just getting pushed through the power or through the preamp tubes, and it's just getting all mushy sounding. So let's turn the feedback down. And maybe, just maybe, we turn the sync off so we can adjust the actual just delay time. So just whatever you want to do there. Not bad. I'll put it on sync. And then maybe put on 3/16 is the same as a dotted eighth. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Cool. Another kind of boost you can have is the white boost, which is the Exotic Effects RC booster. You can have the gain all the way down. There's a lot of juice to this pedal, so maybe not have to level up so high like you would a Tube Screamer. All right, another thing to think about, which I just thought of right now, is instead of thinking of all this stuff like you would use it in the real world, like if the amp doesn't have an effects loop, then you can't put the delay afterwards. Well, you can, but in that case, you're thinking more of like a studio engineer and how you would add delay to anything like a vocal, guitar, just whatever you have recording in the studio. You could always add effects after, like in post. So having anything after the amp, even though the amp originally doesn't have an effects loop, it's perfectly fine. And you definitely have a lot cleaner delay and reverb sound. I'm not liking that sound though for the delay. Let's go something really clean, like a dyne delay is cool. And we'll just do that one, and we'll bring down the mix. 2, 3, 4. This has a lot of parameters to it, and I'm not going to worry about all that stuff right this second. But we will turn the high cut down. So even though it's a digital delay, we're going to warm it up a little bit by taking the brightness out. that can work. And I hope this is helpful. Just you seeing me walk through my mindset and 1, 2, 3. So even though I'm using a very high end, not high end, but like a very bright guitar, going into the front of an amp that's kind of cranked, and also having a boost pedal that's kind of cranked, it is taming some of that high end there, especially when I turn the high end down on the pedal, and it's just helping to not be so bright. So. We have a Headrush user from Malaysia. So, hey, Eric. I'm going to say it's Eric. Thanks for chiming in and watching along. So I hope you have your Headrush out and you can follow along as I build these rigs. Or you can go to my website and think of it like a one-time donation of $20. You can get all the rigs I make in these live streams, past, present, and future. So go ahead and donate, if you will, to the cause and support what I do here on YouTube and also on my website. And get you some sweet Headrush rigs, man. So I've been using a lot of the bridge pickup here, but this is what the neck sounds like. So you can hear the white boost is adding a lot of girth to the sound. And what's cool is the white boost is not really, there's no gain at all. It's just all volume. You know, mostly a lot of volume there. I can turn up the treble a little bit. Maybe turn down the bass. And then go to the neck. And if I roll down the volume on the guitar, just cleans up really nice. It sounds really good. Hey, thanks a lot, Tuxo. He says he bought the Sonic DNA pack today, so that's really cool. That's another thing. If you want to help support Greg Barth. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. I was thinking of Greg Hawk because I saw the Greg Hawk comment there. Greg Barth of Sonic DNA does great work and provides a lot of packs based on a lot of very popular speaker cabs and also some not so popular speaker cabs, but you get all kinds of variations there. But I do have a Sonic DNA pack that is really taking the concept of being an audio engineer and imagining you have two microphones on a speaker, and you are basically riding the faders up and down to get different tonality or get a different balance of the mics, and therefore you get a different overall sound coming out of the different IRs. So you naturally start with the A section, and you have like a vintage 30 and a greenback, and you got two different microphones, and you're stepping through this one's higher, this one's lower. You kind of change the blend of those. And really, it's a great pack. And the only reason why I don't use IRs in these live streams is I don't want to assume you have the same IR I do, and nor do I want to just give away an IR. I guess I could, but I do highly suggest my IR pack from Sonic DNA. It's a great pack, and when I'm recording, I do swap out the cabs for my Sonic DNA IRs. Not that the stock cabs don't sound good. They do sound really good. But Greg Barth did go ahead and pre-shape the sound of those IRs so they don't have tons of treble. They basically sound like a guitar speaker, which is great, especially for recording. So the low end is cut off, the high end's rolled off a little bit. It just sounds really smooth and very full sounding. So you would definitely be supporting me and Greg if you buy my Sonic DNA IR pack in the description down below. So I want to thank Tuxo for mentioning that and for buying the IR pack. So thanks a lot. And when I do live stream, I don't really care if people give me super chats, because YouTube does take a portion of that. So if you give $5 for a super chat, but then YouTube takes like half of that, then you're not really doing a whole lot. I guess you're supporting YouTube at that point. But if you want to help support what I do, definitely just go to my website, buy the HTS Rigs course, buy my Sonic DNA IR pack, and that goes directly to feeding hungry kids and all the stuff that we pay for as adults. So very affordable downloads too. Yep. Thanks a lot, Tuxo. I appreciate you saying that. All right, cool. So that's a good Marshall kind of sound. All right, so let's get into some metal territory. See if we can go there. We're going to go straight to a Saldano Doc Tele SLO. So we're going to try the SLO first, and then we'll go to like a PV 5150, and we'll call it a night. How about that? I didn't plan on going live, but it is it's technically halfway through the month, and I try to do these somewhere near the beginning of the month if I can. We can do extended range here. Sorry, I just burped into the microphone. How embarrassing. Once again, the master volume, the louder that is, the more power amp sag and distortion you're going to get. So if you like that kind of sound, that's fine. These Soldano amps, I'm probably saying that wrong. Soldano. I don't know. Soldano. I've never said it right, apparently. Leave me something in the chat here to correct me if I'm wrong. How to say this. Already that sounds really good. Turn off the white boost. Turn off the delay. And that's with the Telecaster, folks. That is with the Tele going into a high gain amplifier. That sounds really good. Let's go back to our Tube Screamer. And just go default. Green color. Now, the amount of level you put on the tube screamer is going to drastically change how much push you get into the front of that amp. So if you feel like it's kind of just a little too much gain, you can either turn the gain down on the amp or just turn down the level on the tube screamer. You're still getting the effect of the mid-range being pushed and the low and highs being rolled off. But I was hearing a little bit of something going on there. Let's go to 57 on the mic. All right, that sounded a little too closed off, a little too nasally. Sounds pretty good, but different than the 57. All right, cool. Sounds good to me. We've been going for about an hour and 11 minutes. So if you want to chat it up and ask me some questions, feel free to do so. I know it's 11:35 Central Time, which is past midnight Eastern Time, and it's about 9 o'clock California time. So if you're up in California, grab your Headrush and let's build some rigs together. So. All right, I'm going to take that white boost out. Here's the delay back in. All right, cool. A little too much feedback. Possibly. Turn the mix down. Yes. If you ever seen John 5 of Marilyn Manson, I think he's definitely played with a lot of other people as well. He primarily plays Telecasters, and he shreds so hard on the Tele. So, all right, so we have some traditional sounds, and you can see, look at this rig. I have a tube screamer, amp, cab, and delay. I mean, I could throw in a reverb. I mean, I guess if I had to. Let's do an 11 verb this time. And let's just put in a garage with a very dark tone. 50, very low mix here. So this is going to give us a sense of just a little bit of room sound. Yeah, I like that. And then add in the delay. Cool. One more. Actually, we might do an ambient one, but yeah, I've done plenty of ambient rigs over the years. Let's see. We're gonna save, then save new rig. Doc. Tele. I did it again. Spacebar. Tele. Then we're gonna call this P5150. Bam. We're going to go down to the 5150 here. So PV512 lead. Yeah, I think the crunch actually has a little bit more It's a little bit more going on with it. Mids. Turn the post down. I had a 5150 block letter edition head. Like, when was this? What year is it? 2022. So that would have been I want to say 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. I had a PV 5150 with a 4x12 cab in an apartment. Yeah, you can figure out how that turned out. Actually, I was on a 3-level apartment in Nashville, and I had the bottom garage. It wasn't really a bedroom, but I made it a bedroom because it was cool. And yeah, I had a PV 5150 up there, and it was pretty great. Wow. This has a little bit more spiky going on. Resonance. Turn the presence down. I'm not liking this at all. Turn up the preamp gain. Post. All right, so this is definitely a situation where the sound of that single coil pickup just doesn't mesh well with the 5150. So I'm not even going to try. 87. Yeah, it's just too noisy. Let's try something different here. We're going to go with the let's go with the Tangerine. The second channel of an 8030, which is orange 8030. Okay, check the output. And let's see what I want to do here. What do I want to do? I want to get some good. Even if you crank this amp, you're still not getting tons of drive. That's actually pretty good. Got the gain cranked on it. The master's down pretty low though. I turn that up. I want to make sure the rig volume is not crazy. Yeah. So that's really a good edge of breakup sound. This is no longer a PV5150, so we're gonna change the name here. So AD30, which is really what it is. So Orange AD30. So you can hear that the Sodano, I don't know. Sodano, the slow 100, SLO 100, was so compressed that you really didn't hear the character of that trebly pickup, the bridge pickup. But with this one, all that character shines through, and you definitely get some. I hear a little tunage going on. Use that awesome Headrush tuner here. So if you've enjoyed the live stream, give this video a like. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And click the bell so you'll be notified when I release videos, especially with these live streams. I'm going to keep this set up just like this right here, because I'm going to make some more videos for my Headrush tone sculpting course this week, and also work on the tonal analysis, which if you didn't catch the announcement earlier in this live stream, the first series in the tonal analysis course is AC/DC. So I'm going to be picking out some great songs from their classic albums and recreating those tones on the Headrush. So I will be using a humbucker style guitar for that, and definitely not a Telecaster, because that wouldn't make sense, because Angus Young used a Gibson SG for those songs. And yeah, so it's gonna be fun exploring some AC/DC tones, and you can see that hit the website. I'll probably film all that this week, and then that gives me a few days before October starts. So I'll be sure to have all that on the website, at least by the start of October, so you can check that out. But this is, once again, this is the AD30 from the Orange amp. Cool. I like it. So that's with the volume down, and you can get a nice clean tone out of that. Go to the neck pickup. It's great. Go to the middle position. And the Pete Anderson model has this cool knob here. It's the tone knob, but when you pull it out and you're in the middle position, you are it flips it out of phase. So now you get this kind of sound. This is the before with it down. This is with the pickups out of phase. And then back to normal phase. Cool. Tube screamer. Yeah, so a lot of different variations with the volume knob up or down, and depending on if you have the tube screamer in there or not. But that's a good edge of breakup sound there. All right, cool. So thanks, guys. I am Dr. McFarland. This is the Pete Anderson Reverend Telecaster, which is great. I'm going to be shooting this one out against the Greg Koch. Let me grab that real fast. Oh, man. This is the Greg Koch Gristle Master. So gristly. So mastery. Sorry. Let me turn down the volume for a second. I'm going to swap this out, and you can hear some of the tones from the Greg Koch. And what I'm going to do this week is take these two guitars and just test them out. Because obviously this one has the Fishman Fluence pickups in it, and it's going to sound just different. But this is the, here's the bridge. See, already that doesn't sound as bright to me, which is fine. What's really cool about the Sensei that I have from Reverend is even though they are humbuckers, they're rail hammer pickups, it has the bass contour knob that rolls off a lot of that bass and just thins out the sound. So I can kind of, it's not a Telecaster sound by any means, but it definitely gets in the thinner category, which is kind of what this Greg Koch one does, because it does have a middle switch. It does have a switch here that you can push it in, and it gives you more volume and more mid-range. Hear how that distortion came in versus this? And then knob back in. Not knob, button pushed it back in. Get that lick one more time. If I keep this guitar, which I was planning on selling it, but that sounds really, that just sounds so good. That knob, this button right here, this little button right here. See that? There's a little button in the middle. There's a button there that if I push it in, it gives it more mid-range, kind of like a tube screamer, and also a little bit more volume. So it's just a really good... So it's kind of like two different guitars, essentially, without having to change guitars, which is great. So you can get that classic Tele sound, or you can get a good, just a good overall rock sound. So here's the slow 100. Okay. Okay, here's the with the button back out. What did I just play? Yeah, you can just hear one is more pushed than the other just based on that one button. Okay. Classic Tele sounds. Let's go to our deluxe one, which is still on the bridge pickup. And then button pushed in. So I'm kind of thinking right now, having one Greg Koch model kind of takes the place of like a few different Teles. I mean, that Pete Anderson plays and just feels great, but I can definitely hear how this middle button right here, if I push that in like that, I can go from a classic Telecaster sound, which to me still sounds nice and beefy. Then push the button in. So it's just a different sound there. This is with the tube screamer off. Button in. Yeah, just more volume, a little bit more gristle, if you will. All right, guys, we've been going for about an hour and a half. That's plenty long. And just want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching, for all the people that commented. I want to thank you for that. If you have not subscribed, please do so. I just passed 11,000 subs here on YouTube, which I'm not really worried about subs at this point. It's nice if I have more, because that just means more people are watching my videos potentially. But really, a lot of people that watch YouTube just watch the videos and never subscribe to anything. They just, I don't know, don't want to commit or something. Or maybe they don't want to have their own account. Like maybe they don't have Gmail, so they never sign up for their own account. So therefore they can't subscribe to anything because it won't show up in their feed because they're not signed in. So there's all kinds of reasons why people don't subscribe. But if you like what I do here on YouTube and you want to learn more about modeling, guitars, amps, pedals, recording stuff, I'm going to be doing a lot of cool reviews here coming up very soon. Going to be filming those this week and then releasing them, throughout the week and next week and the rest of the month. So I'm going to be pretty busy. I'm going to keep this set up just how I have it, with my phone over the Headrush microphone here. And I'm just going to be doing some recording. So thanks, guys, for watching. I am Dr. McFarland. I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.